United is playing Aston Villa. Okay, to check the statistics, Man United has not lost on Boxing Day since 1978. That's an interesting stat, but they come against an Aston Villa side that is actually 1 point off the top. Welcome back from that scintillating piece of action in Europe. It's been crazy. The underdogs have been taking the big dogs for laps. Man United leapfrogged Man City FA Cup final, took that. Olympiacos, an underdog inside that one against Fiorentina, who are playing the most beautiful football in Italy, taken out in the Europa Conference League final. In the Europa League final, who saw this coming? Atlanta went and did the notes. They did all the calculations. They washed Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen 3-0 on the night. Yeah. So this whole European thing has been very crazy. Yeah. And now we have only one more test remaining, the Champions League final. Borussia Dortmund taking on Real Madrid. Yeah. Welcome to yet another episode of Mr. Vamos Dissect. Mr. Vamos here to give you the insights about what's going on this time around. Well, the league seasons are done. The Champions League final climax is what has been happening in Europe before we get into the Super Cups and all that. But straight into the gist, Dortmund is taking on Real Madrid. These two sides have met several times. Yeah, in most of the outings that have happened before, Real Madrid has been watching Borussia Dortmund. Notably, the last time that Borussia Dortmund beat Real Madrid, they were inspired by Marco Rossi. Actually scored a brace inside there. I think that was about maybe 2013, 2014. And then Di Maria missed an early first half penalty for you guys. And then, of course, the time that very many of us remember was the time Robert Lewandowski was still at Dortmund. He actually put 4 goals past Real Madrid. Yeah, and then that's the game that's a tournament that actually announced Robert Lewandowski as a prolific goal scorer in Europe. And of course, he went on to go to Bayern Munich, become the top scorer in Bayern Munich. He's now playing his trade in Borussia Dortmund. Well, what is in it? What do I look at in this time? Well, that's like I said, the final is a final. I personally think Real Madrid are the kings of Europe. They've been, in all the finals they've been going to, take away the periods when Zidane was still the main manager. They were taking these trophies for fun, yeah? They did, I think, 3 straight titles inside there. Something that is not usual to find in Europe. You're not going to keep taking trophies like that. Of course, the last time they missed out, they were beaten by Man City, who they managed to beat coming into the tournament. In their last 2 fixtures, Real Madrid managed to offset a Bayern Munich side. Of course, very many people are saying there was a lot of politicking in this game because somehow people are saying Bayern Munich was actually robbed on the decisions of the referee and all that. But I think all that is just walala because at the end of the day, Real Madrid went through. Borussia Dortmund, on the other hand, they've been underdogs in their chain. The chain they've been coming through for the Champions League. They beat a PSG side that I think seemed very toothless, right? Because PSG, like any other team in Europe, they've been winning the leagues in France. Week in, week out, they've been winning trophies every year. Yeah, Kylian Mbappe has been leading those guys very well. Of course, they gave him the armband to try to keep him on. But long story short, he might actually seek a move to Real Madrid because he wants the Champions League. Very toothless against Dortmund. Dortmund actually won them home and away. Of course, veteran Mats Hummels scoring the all-important goal in the second leg to ensure that they got there. In this final, I think when I'm looking into these two teams, Dortmund has actually structured very well, yeah? The chemistry between the back line, the midfield, and the striking has been very formidable. That's why they actually, in the first leg against PSG, they actually took out Kylian Mbappe. He actually almost had no shot on target or something like that. They actually pocketed him. And now, if I'm looking into the defense of Dortmund, my only worry would be one. If Toni Kroos sits himself once and looks to pick one of the 3 passes that he normally picks in a game and he spots a Vinicius Jr. and he catches a Mats Hummels napping, I think it will be goodbye for Dortmund even before the 30th minute hits the 30th minute reaches. So I'm thinking, basing on the footage that was being shown, I think 2 weeks ago, that showed Nicolas Soule, someone who is famously known for the goal clearance that he did against Kylian Mbappe in the group stage in the Champions League. I think he has a pot belly now. For a person who is going into a Champions League final, I think he ought to be like making the muscle and all that. But I think that Dortmund's defense it hasn't been bad the whole season, but somehow I think they might be slow because of the veterans. Of course, the young man inside there, Schlotterbeck, summer signing this season, he's been rock solid. He's racked up some goals. He's been nice in helping Mats Hummels cover in. But my only fear on this one is when you're facing a Vini Jr., Jude Bellingham, the player of the season in Spain. Shout out to the big man. Of course, he's going to be, I think, spearheading the England team in the Euros that are coming through. And then on the side, you get Rodrigo. Rodrigo, I think, is one of those players that you will never sit on. You might not underrate him until maybe the 90. Come off the bench, you have Brahim Diaz. I think it's going to be a panic situation for that Dortmund defense. In the midfield, I think Dortmund is actually solid. The pivot of Emre Can and Marcel Sabitzer has been rock solid. Well, for me, talking from a Man United point of view, I think Man United made a mistake not to sign someone like Marcel. Marcel is actually going to be playing like a 10. He can play like an 8. He can play like a 6. He's going to give you that versatility in the middle. Of course, Emre Can is going to be doing most of the donkey work and the dirty work. And then when you get into the attacking options, I think just like I was talking about Lewandowski being at Dortmund and scoring goals the last seasons he was there, I think in Füllkrug, they bought Füllkrug as one of the top scorers in the Bundesliga last season, and he's actually been scoring very many goals for him. He's very clinical. His aerial ability, his inside is up there and everything. And of course, with the service of rejuvenated Jadon Sancho, of course, very many Man United guys will wonder why did Eric Ten Hag let a talent like that go. But kudos to the guy. He's actually been doing a lot of wonders in the Champions League. He's been taking on defenders, doing what we like to hear, the nutmegs and all that. And now I'm looking at the front three of Borussia Dortmund. If you can get me an Adeyemi on the left, and then maybe a Julian Brandt on the right, and then Füllkrug in the center, I think that's how maybe Marco Rose will line up that Dortmund side. And I think that's where they get the impact from. Yeah, because Sebastian Halle has not really been getting the minutes since he came back from AFCON because Füllkrug has been on fire. And now, of course, if Sancho also comes through in that pitch, so it's going to be interesting to see how he line up Sancho, Adeyemi, Brandt, and Füllkrug inside there. Because, of course, Marco Rose is actually, I think he beat the guys at the Signal Iduna Park. His fare was, as his last game was there during the last time they played in the Bundesliga. He will want to get some minutes inside there because he's playing on emotions. He's playing on, I think this is the last time he wants to touch that silverware. But away from the Dortmund point of view, Real Madrid, like I said, these are the kings of Europe. I repeat that, and I'm very confident about that because if you get a team that actually it has a never say never attitude. Madrid is playing against Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich has scored a very beautiful goal. Alphonso Davies scored a very beautiful curler on his weaker foot. And Bayern Munich looked like, okay, now the tie is now to bed. But of course, Thomas Tuchel went and made substitutions that I think these managers like to cost themselves their jobs. He took out Harry Kane. He took out everyone that looked like they were going to be ball carriers. I think Harry Kane is one of the best ball carriers in the world. If he's not scoring goals, he's trying to retain the ball for one of his strikers to score. He took out Musiala and everything got messed inside there. Bayern Munich slept a bit. Of course, Carlo Anchelotti went onto his bench and brought Joselu. Joselu has had 2 stints at Real Madrid, and in all those stints, he has always been the guy that somewhat is going to be on and off the bench, but he's going to come and steal the limelight. Joselu came through and scored 2 goals in the dying embers of the game, and this to me showed me that Real Madrid doesn't look like they want to surrender. They don't look like they want to lose a game. And for Champions League, they take it very personal. Yeah, when you start from the backline of Madrid, I was looking at Lunin. Lunin was talking on the socials. I think he must have, I'm yet to get into the dynamics of the story. Either he must have gotten an injury that looks like he wants to sideline him from the Champions League final, and yet he's been very clutch. He's been coming clutch for them since the whole tournament began. Of course, Thibaut Courtois is going to be back in the fray. For very many of you that know Courtois, Courtois is a tournament player. Last time I saw Courtois playing in a very big tournament in the World Cup against Brazil, he pulled off a man of the match performance. The last time they played Liverpool, I think in the Champions League, he must have put on a man of the match performance. I think he must be one of those beautiful, brilliant goalkeepers that we have that have a reflex, ball distribution, and everything. So you expect that Thibaut Courtois to be back behind the sticks. In the defense, that's where the problem is, because of course Rudiger has to be there. That's an automatic. We yet to see if Eder Militao has actually gotten what it takes to come back into that line, and of course Mendy playing on the left side of the pitch, and then maybe a Nacho Fernandez. Nacho Fernandez also bid farewell to the faithfuls of Madrid. I think he will also want this tournament to his name. When you get into the middle, I think they have the most creative midfield probably in the world. When you get Toni Kroos, who is going to be playing his last game for Madrid, I think he announced his retirement last week, a very, very top light from his days at Bayern Munich. Toni Kroos was actually among the guys that took out Dortmund in the final in 2013. And then you get a Luka Modric, who is aging like fine wine, famous for his Trivela pass. And then you get a Jude Bellingham in front of him. Well, of course, Ancelotti knows how to rotate those boys inside there. But where does Real Madrid win this game from? Real Madrid wins this game from the front pack. I'm still wondering who is going to mark Vinicius Jr. when he comes up from the left there. The only person that I know that was beating him for pace was Kyle Walker. And of course, Kyle Walker cannot be loaned to Dortmund for this game to come and take him out. It's going to be very crazy. I don't know who Marco Rose is going to pick inside that one. Rodrigo on the right-hand side, I don't know. I think Ian Maatsen has been having a very nice season. I don't know. I don't really trust his defensive abilities, but it's going to be one to watch. And then, of course, they're going to be using a false nine, so Bellingham might be shaking Schottelbach and Mats Hummels. But the real question is, will Dortmund be able to contain these guys for at least 90 minutes? Because Real Madrid is attack. And now when I'm looking at the benches of these two sides, when in Real Madrid we have another Gula, I think the best Turkish international at the moment, coming back from an ACL injury. He's actually scored in all his games off the bench. That's a very pretty interesting stat coming into a final. They have Brahim Diaz back from AC Milan on loan. A very, very tricky person inside there. Trust, a player who uses his left foot and comes from the side is a very, very tricky player to face. They have an Eduardo Camavinga. I have a guy who keeps hyping Camavinga, but I think Camavinga is one of those talents that the world does not know about. Camavinga can play in the defense. Camavinga can play in the midfield. Just in case Real Madrid didn't have a striker, one day Camavinga will go onside there. Let Thibaut Courtois get in here, then Lunin, Camavinga will get behind the sticks. I've seen him do that in training sometimes. So I think when I look onto the bench, there's a Chouameni that's also sitting on that bench. And then there's Badman Freddy Valverde. You guys, I just like to implore you guys to just go on YouTube and click Valverde. All the goals that Valverde has scored for Uruguay are just Vims. And you got someone in Amuganda would probably call them Chibokos. I think he has some of the hottest shots that I've seen being taken on a football pitch. And Freddy Valverde does not tire on that pitch. So if Dortmund wants to pick something from this game, it all comes down to, can their midfield cope with the Real Madrid midfield? Can they have someone that's going to fuel that Dortmund side? I think Sabitzer is someone that can do that role, but I don't know if he's going to play all those minutes and chase, because Valverde is going to chase you left, right, center, midfield, defense, and all that. Well, if it were up to me, I've been having conversations with people about this fixture. And well, of course, like I said, we've seen a Fiorentina being knocked out in the dying embers of the game against Olympiacos. So Man United did their notes properly, took out Man City. Atlanta did their notes very well. Gasperini, 61 years. In fact, Atlanta had not won a trophy in 61 years. He delivered the Europa League against the best looking side in Europe. That's Bayer Leverkusen. They hadn't lost a game the whole season. Yeah, granted Xhaka his first loss since 2022. Look, that's a very big thing. I don't want to think that this is going to be a season of underdogs and Dortmund is going to come to and do that. But, well, if I was giving you an outright prediction for this game, to me, I think, aside from the things that people have been telling me during the week of this game will be in an under, Real Madrid is not going to sit and start padding a final. Every game has been a final for Real Madrid. So I'll give you guys a decent Real Madrid 2-1 on this one, because I don't really think that, when I base on the fact that the last final that Borussia Dortmund played in 2013 against Bayern Munich, the game only became lively when Bayern Munich actually scored. Yeah, Bayern Munich scored a goal in the 68th minute, and then Of course, Gundogan equalized in the 65th, and then these guys came and put the game to bed. But that game alone showed that, you know, when you don't have experience in Europe, then you're going to reach and fumble at the big stage. I don't know the pep talk that Marco Rose is going to give his guys, but I believe this will be a befitting send-off for Mats Hummels and Marco Rose, who have been at the club for the longest time, of course. But final prediction for me, Real Madrid takes this one away from me. I don't know what you guys think. You probably let me know in the comments, or whatever you want to use as a guide to let me know about what you think. But that's most definitely what I think. And then for those of you guys that have been keeping tabs on the channel, I'd like to thank you guys for the shout outs, for the emojis you're sending, for the appreciations on the work and everything. We actually hit 11K views the last week. And then the subscriptions, we're crossing to the 500 subscribers mark, yeah? For those of you who are new on the channel or liking the content, hit the subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend, hit the subscribe. We are having content coming through in and out, week in, week out. Of course, the seasons are out and we are zeroing down onto the Euros. Of course, we'll be dissecting a few things here and there. And then, of course, shout out to my guys, the Ndeje Nets. Of course, they recently launched the beauty of a jersey. Shout out to Avak for cooking. And then, of course, my guys from Ndeje League, we see you guys on Sunday. The guys that want to go to Nachi Football to see the premiere of the new stadium, you guys can go through, as long as you're not beaten by Chifesi and the round kick that's flying recently, because it's really crazy. Aside from that, stay safe, stay blessed. Mr. Vamos signing out.